Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to another UXW Bill video. May not be the morning where you are right now as you watch this, but it is most definitely Saturday morning, just a shade before 7 o'clock. Might be 7 o'clock by now. Ordinarily, folks, I would never be up this early on a Saturday morning, but as it happens, I had to get over here and get this footage because these two brick columns, which have been in really sad shape for a long time, they are finally getting replaced. Those are the new bricks right there, and the gentleman who's going to install them is coming here soon to demolish these. Of course, that leaves the stairs, and you have to view these through an appropriate historical lens, in that they were basically a hacked-together effort to temporarily provide a staircase that was intended to last only a short time. And somehow it's turned into quite a bit more than that over all the years that it's been since these were put in. I don't know exactly how long ago that was. I believe there's a video about it. I'd have to go back and check. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's been 10 years. These things are hazardous when it's wet. They've become quite rickety. They've even been repaired a few times over the years with composite plastic-based material instead of actual wood on some of the steps. And the keykeeper says that once all the brickwork is done, he's going to actually rebuild a new staircase in here. I personally think that he's probably too busy to really do that because he is a very busy guy, working in a construction-related field as he does. I also feel like the right solution here would be to get a proper concrete, preformed or poured, manufactured on site, something like that, really doesn't matter, set of steps. But for right now at least, these old brick pillars have finally had their time, and I'll come back a little bit later today and we'll see how things are going. We've had a lot of rain here, so I assume the gentleman is still planning on coming out. There was a lot more water sitting around than what you see now. So a lot of it has certainly evaporated or gone into the ground. It was very windy last night, but it was also rainy too. So we'll check in a little bit later, see what these look like as they're coming down. It'll be interesting to see if they reveal any kind of secrets or anything about the old house that we did not previously know. So if this is something you think you'd be interested in watching, well, stay tuned. I'll have more footage for you soon. Folks, I'm going to be honest with you. This looks like trouble to me. Got a forklift that the keykeeper borrowed from his place of work. Now this brings back memories of? No, you don't, but I'll tell you. Here in just a moment, when I've made sure I'm not going to get run over by said forklift. About 25 years ago, Keykeeper and Furhead, they were playing car thief with the golf cart. One of them would steal it, the other one tried to stop him. After a while, they kind of effortlessly fired it into the garage door. My father and I were traveling through the hills of Missouri that night. My mother called, and she was very distraught, to say the least. We ought to be able to tear up anything with this. Much better than a golf cart. Spear the garage door. What we're doing here is getting ready to unload some bricks. You think he's been to forklift operator school?
Sure is nice to have long cord.
good as, I think that's plenty. Take it back where it belongs. Just got to get a ride arranged here to pick him up. $600 bricks, they say that's supposed to be. You think there's really 600 of them there? I don't know. The construction crew has been here for about 20 minutes, and in that time they started out by taking these two pieces of limestone off the top of the brick columns. I believe you might call these capstones. I'm not sure of the exact terminology, but I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments if I happen to be wrong. They made an interesting observation that I hadn't really even thought about, that being that this limestone is actually hygroscopic, or will absorb moisture. Of course, with all the rain we've had, it's had ample opportunity to do that, and they mentioned that these would probably be 50 pounds lighter if they hadn't been rained on. But here's what it looks like with those two gone. They mentioned they'd be here until about 10 o'clock today, doing mainly demolition work, and that they'd probably come back tomorrow, and I believe they would finish this at this point. I'm not sure I can really capture this, make it look as impressive as it truly is, and I may not even be stout enough to do it. But before they left to go get some plywood to avoid turning this into more of a loblolly than it already is, one of the gentlemen actually grabbed a hold of this and pushed on it. And I can make it wiggle. I don't know if I can do that with this other one or not. No, this one's a good deal sturdier than the other. So yeah, these things have done their time. Our best guess is that the house was built early 1900s, 1910. Certainly believe, as I think I've stated in previous videos, that portions of the home were electrified when it was built, which would seem to cement the build date around that time, roughly speaking. This house was actually supposed to be bigger than it is, from what we've been told, but the gentleman who built it, who we don't know much about, evidently he ran out of money, and so the house ended up as it is today. It certainly looks a lot different now. The demolition work has been completed. And along the way, of course, you get to see some things that probably haven't seen the light of day in well over a century. I find it interesting that there's a gap there in those bricks. Also various gaps here in the wood boards that make up the house. But the thing that I find the most interesting, and when I say this you have to understand that I really have no experience in construction and even less in bricklaying, they actually laid bricks into the ground to support the two columns that were once on each side of this staircase. And the man who's out here doing the work, or was out here doing the work yesterday, he said that he thought these bricks might even be part of the rest of the foundation of the home, which would certainly be interesting. And now, of course, you can see how the staircase was done. Really not a whole lot to it. It's definitely in better shape than I expected it to be on the underside. Of course, there's a bunch of bricks and trash under there. Hopefully that'll get cleaned up. They're supposed to work on it even more today. I don't know if they'll get finished. But let's go over here as my father comes home from church, and we'll take a look at what's in the dumpster. And to say the least, I was quite surprised how those two columns of bricks filled as much of this dumpster as they did. Well, while it happens that the music the chimney guy next door was playing is turned off, and the Handycam is busily trying to run out of memory, let's just take a quick look and see what's happened in the week or so that it's been since I last shot any video about this. We'll go over here and you can see that the pile of bricks has diminished substantially in size. Not sure if I mentioned it or not, but there were about 600 bricks on this pallet. Hard to believe that it could take that many to make two rather small structures. One of them is basically finished, and the other one over here is gradually making its way toward being completed. And then of course the keykeeper, he'll have to go ahead and put the new staircase in. I want to make sure I'm not going to fall over anything. Well folks, it's about 9:30 in the morning on May 11th, 2024. And let's see what's been going on with the brick replacement project. The pile of bricks has certainly gotten a lot smaller. The dumpster's gone. And just look at this work over here. It's almost been completed. I think we're just about to the point where the only thing that's left to do is put those two large pieces of stone back in place, get the keykeeper to rebuild the stairs. Fun fact, the center of those is actually hollow, if you can believe it. Now, although I'm about to lose the battery on the camcorder, and it may fail before I get through all this, you might be wondering about all that ruckus in the background. And that, folks, is a story nearly 20 years in the making. On June 17th, 2005, and yes, it's a little sobering to think that was nearly 20 years ago, we had a borderline tornadic storm come through here, and it really tore down a lot of trees and other infrastructure here in town, including the center of that tree. It's in my bedroom, playing on my computer, listening to it storm, when I heard a very loud crash. The lights went out. Walked into my parents' bedroom and saw green leaves plastered against both of the windows because it took the center right out of that tree. And I do have some photos of that I'll throw into the video. The tree is still alive, but it's not well. It's very hollow, and it should have been torn down all those 19 years ago. So that's finally what's going on. Just piece by piece, they're taking it down. And those are the windows that it landed on when it broke all those years ago. Amazingly, it did not break the glass, if you can believe it. Fun little story. I thought I'd throw this down in the video description, but I guess I'll just tell it here if the battery will hold out for me. It's funny how much larger the world gets when you've lost your internet connection and your power, and you really wonder just how many areas around you were similarly affected and suffered damage from violent weather like that. But that night, I found a little black and white portable TV, set it up on the bed of my truck, plugged it into an inverter, Really expected that the inverter would probably destroy any vestige of being able to receive any kind of television, but it didn't. We were able to tune in the 10 o'clock news where they talked about some of the storm damage. It was parked right there on the back of the tailgate of my S10. And all the neighbors from around here gradually wandered over. And I remember one of them saying, even though it was really nothing to do it, I remember one of them saying, well, if anyone could get a television to work, it'd be William. But we didn't get power or telephone back, and we actually got telephone back first for several days after that storm. I hope you actually heard that, given all the racket that's going on in the background. This looks like trouble to me. Here I am back again. It's Memorial Day 2024, and it's time to go ahead and close up this video. We'll start by taking a look at all that's left of that tree that was taken down. We're debating what to do about the stump at present, because if you look at the ground here in the video, you can see there's all these rocks and pebbles. When this tree was planted about 35, 40 years ago, somewhere in there, maybe even more than that, the person who planted it, they put a wooden frame around it and filled it in with rocks around the trunk of the tree, the base of the tree. And the guy who took the tree down, he said, I can do the stump grinding, and I'll set up some sheets of plywood to try and protect everything, but there's no guarantee that I won't hit a rock with the stump grinding equipment, have it shoot through the plywood or shoot past the plywood, and end up breaking a window or damaging the siding on the old house. So it's a little up in the air what we're going to do with that. But one thing that is definitely not up in the air, at least not entirely, probably be a very bad day if it was. I mean, we'd had a heck of a tornado or something. I shouldn't joke about that, because there's people in the United States and elsewhere that have had terrible storms and tornadoes and things, and certainly my thoughts and even prayers go out to them, because they can use all the help they can get. So here are the finished columns. I'll just kind of move the camera around so you can really see these. I'll back up here and hopefully you won't trip on anything that's hidden on the sidewalk. These look absolutely incredible, at least to my thoroughly inexperienced eye. Now we just need to get some stairs. And the key keeper's a very busy guy. I don't know when he'll get to that. Me? Aren't you? Yeah, you're a very busy guy, aren't you?
Always.
That's right. At least you knew the right answer. So, folks, that's it. Those are all the latest projects going on here at Walsh Motors. You gonna say hi?
Don't run off yet.
we got a regular comedy troupe going on around here. But yeah, these are finished. The tree's been taken down. We just have to get some stairs now. I'm going to replace that tired old telephone line because it's somehow gotten noisy over the years. It's not the first line on the old house that's done so. It's definitely done its time. I'm definitely going to run it a lot more nicely than the people who did so originally. But that's a story for another day. In the meantime, thank you for watching. And as always, if you happen to have a constructive comment, please do feel free to leave one.
What are you doing?
Well, it just so happens that my mother is wearing a purple shirt, And guess what I'm wearing? Also a purple shirt. She won't say it on camera, but she thinks that I'm a thought sucker because as often as not, I can complete her sentences in perfect lockstep. But now she thinks that I'm also a clothes sucker. That I stole the idea right out of her head to wear a purple shirt. I promise you that's not true.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm making a movie.
Want to make some soap?
Not really, no.